Hello and welcome once again to Loveland's Talking. My name is Andy Hiller. I'm the Public Information Officer here for the City of Loveland government, and we're here with you this month, as we are every month, to share with you, the public, information about what's going on with your city government. Today we're going to be talking about our local airport, and I'm not talking about that thing, 50, 60 miles away south of us in Denver. I'm talking about the Fort Collins Loveland Municipal Airport. I'm sure you're familiar with it, that you know where it is, just west of the interstate by the Crossroads exit, and occasionally I'm sure you see little planes and even larger planes heading in and out of the airport. Today we're going to discuss a number of things. First, the facility itself, what's out there, and secondly, who uses it, and then its value to Loveland and the whole northern Colorado region, and what may or may not lie ahead for the airport. So, with me today is the man from the airport. Jason, introduce yourself, and I'll ask you a bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Andy. My name is Jason Lacone. I'm the airport director. I was hired on by the city actually on Valentine's Day. February 14th was my first day here, and had a wonderful time getting up to speed and integrated with all the city departments and both city departments, since we are a jointly owned facility. And, I have nothing but good things to say about the area.
Okay. Well, so you came here to the Sweetheart City on Valentine's Day, huh?
Isn't that a coincidence?
That was pretty crafty. Yeah. So the airport has names of two communities. You say it's jointly owned?
Correct.
Okay. And so when you get paid monthly or every 2 weeks or whatever, whose logo is on your paycheck?
Well, it is the City of Loveland's logo.
Okay.
The city does handle all of our accounting, finance, payroll. A lot of the business function and administrative function comes from the City of Loveland.
Well, that's a good lead into my first question or my complaint. It's the Fort Collins Loveland Airport. You're paid by the City of Loveland. The airport, wait a minute, I'm going to catch up with my slides here. The Fort Collins Loveland Airport, you're paid by the City of Loveland. It's, as we see in this map, it's within the Loveland city limits. That's that tan shaded area here. There's a Loveland fire station there with Loveland fire people there. And all the businesses at or adjacent to the airport are in the Loveland city limits, and they pay Loveland taxes, etc. So how come it's the Fort Collins Loveland Airport and we only get second billing?
Well, a lot of it has to do with alphabetizing. Unfortunately.
Okay.
It isn't, the airport is jointly owned. Both Fort Collins and the City of Loveland jointly own the airport 50-50. It's an interesting governance model. It's rather unique. There's a few out there that have a similar model that have a joint resource such as our airport. But you're right, Andy. We do get a lot of support from Loveland, but we do pay for that support.
Okay.
The airport does contribute to the City of Loveland for all of those support mechanisms in place. I believe, right now we have, a lot of different things, IT. The city's backbone for all the information technology comes out to the airport. So we have just a great support by the city, but the airport does pay for that itself.
Okay.
And as part of the intergovernmental agreement between the two cities, that was laid out back in the early 90s as part of that agreement. And a lot of it has to do with the pros that Loveland does get by having the airport within the city limits. There are tax implications where the city generates revenue from a lot of those businesses that are located out there.
Of course, on the other hand, there are expenses on the other side. We're paying the firefighters, we're paying for the infrastructure.
Yeah, both cities do contribute an equal share, and through that equal share, we do pay the City of Loveland for the services that they do provide.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's my second stumbling block for you, although you didn't stumble at all, is that the airport has an F in its name, and it has an L in its name, but at least none of the words start with an N. So why is its nickname or its acronym FNL?
Well, just to let you know, every airport has an identifier. Whether you're traveling in Denver International, if you go and you see your luggage tag, it says DEN.
Well, that makes sense.
You go to O'Hare Airport, it says ORD. Does that make sense?
Nope.
Nope. And the reason is because way back in the 1930s and 40s, when that was just a military airfield, it was called the Old Orchard Airport.
Huh.
It's a little bit of trivia there for you.
Okay.
If you see the identifier ORD, that means O'Hare International Airport, but where are the R&D coming from? Well, Old Orchard International Airport was the original name. And our identifier is FNL because it's Fort Collins and Loveland. N for and.
Okay.
That's how it plays out.
All
So
right.
a lot of airports have the ability to kind of put their names into their identifier. LAX, Denver, DEN. FNL is Fort Collins and Loveland.
Okay. We haven't talked about this before. I'm going to throw this in real quick. I'll try and be quick. I heard a story long ago that when you watch an old, especially World War II movie, and the pilot is communicating with on the radio, and he's talking about this is 2950, and that there's a special reason why he says niner rather than nine. Do you know this, or have you heard this, and is there any truth in it? Do you have any idea what I'm leading up to?
It does have. It's part of the FAA code, and it's part of the language that pilots use for communication. And honestly, that's something that I'm going to have to look up because I'm not 100% sure.
I'll tell you what I heard, and I don't know if it's true. And folks, let me know if you know. I heard that because nine. The number 9 is the word no in German and similar languages. There was some confusion, and in order for clarification, they stretch it out and call it niner.
I think you're 100% correct.
Really?
Because I've heard the same thing, but I don't know for sure if that's the truth, but it seems logical.
Okay, it may just be another urban legend.
Well, no, it doesn't make sense, Andy, because English is actually the universal aviation language. If you fly into an airport in Madrid, Spain, they're using English at the control tower because that's the universal language. And, you want to make sure that, some of the translations don't get screwed up by saying no versus 9. You don't want to do that because obviously you're going to confuse people, even though they're probably already confused being in a different country having to speak English on their control tower.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that just occurred to me, so I thought I'd ask you about it. I'll get back to FNL, and let's look at this picture. This is an aerial view of FNL, and circled in white is the most prominent part. It's the runway. You want to tell us a bit about it?
Sure. It's pretty much the most important part of the airport. Runways are our primary function and what we use to get our people in and out on a daily basis. The airport's runway is 8,500 feet long, and it's 100 feet wide. It's stressed to handle the aircraft that we currently do, which is MD-80 type aircraft for Allegiant Airlines. However, that's about the maximum what we can handle. Weight limitations are quite extreme because, our runways vary in depth between 9 and 14 inches. So weight limitations are what hinder us from bringing in larger aircraft, even though we do have the length that would be able to support.
Okay, so it's not the length that's the issue. It's the thickness of the concrete or whatever's under there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That has a lot to do with it, and we're pretty much maxed out on what type of capability we have enabled to handle what type of aircraft with the weight that we do. So.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that in a little more detail here. Here's kind of zooming in just a bit. You can see the runway in the upper right-hand corner, and I've circled 3 areas here to discuss a bit. In green there, what are we looking at there?
Well, in the green circled area, that is mostly the commercial airline terminal. As you can see in that right-hand edge of that green circle, there's actually an Allegiant aircraft park there. If you can kind of make that out barely, kind of in the white part there. That's where we park the airliners that serve the airport. And right centered in that green circle is our airline terminal building, where we handle all of the ticketing and all of our baggage processing. The terminal building was built back in the late 80s, early 90s for aircraft that only had 19 seats.
Huh.
So when we're bringing in airlines today that have 150 capacity, brings us to the building next door.
Okay.
And that's our gate. That's our modular gate building where we basically get everybody through the TSA screening process in part of the original terminal. They go then outside into our secure gate area. And basically, it's just like any terminal building that you see at the major airports. You get through security, and you're basically cut off from after you get processed through the security, you're found to be secure to be able to board the aircraft. That's kind of where we have our people. It's our gate / secure holding area is what we call it. So
there's seating in there for.
We do have seating in there, and as a matter of fact, just next month we're planning on doubling the space in that facility.
Oh, really?
Just because of the added flight to Mesa, Arizona that we have. We have 6 flights a week, and 2 of those flights, actually 4 of those flights are on Mondays and Fridays.
Okay.
So we do have 2 flights coming in. We can talk about that a little bit later. We also have the parking lot area in that circle. And just to the top edge of that circle is the company that we call Jet Center. And they handle all of our fueling and what we consider line service for the airport. They're the front line when people come in, whether it be coming in for business or pleasure or privately, whatever they do. They will pull in there and generally get serviced by them, fueling, whatever their needs are, they'll take care of it.
I see. Mm-hmm. And that's referred to by an acronym also.
It is. It's called a fixed base of operations, or an FBO.
Okay.
So Jet Center is our primary, it basically our only fueling operator on the field that we have currently.
All right. I'm going to make a terrible analogy. Well, you tell me if it's terrible or not. It just struck me while we're doing this that it's kind of like the 7-Eleven of your airport, where people pull up and they get the necessary services. Absolutely. And if they need a map or some other things that are there, obviously
right.
Fuel or oil and
fuel,
things
oil,
of that nature.
pilot supplies. They also have the building facility, and they sublease to a lot of other companies that are based on the field, which we'll talk about in a little while.
Okay. Well, let's move a little south here and talk about the big purple area.
Well, the majority of that area are privately owned hangar buildings. If anybody's interested in putting a hangar up at our facility, what we do is typically lease them the land, and they put the building up. And the airport does own a couple of those buildings, but very low percentage. Right now we're at about 215 hangars on the field, and the majority of them are within that purple circle there. So we also the CSU Forest Service is in there. And they sit and actually watch right there on the edge of the ramp, just waiting to see if they see smoke coming out of the mountains.
Huh.
And they have air tankers stand by 24 hours a day during the fire season, ready and willing to extinguish a fire before it becomes a big problem, if they can. Yeah. Obviously, weather conditions have a lot to do with that. But if there's a small fire caused by lightning, they can get up, put it out before it comes.
Now you're talking about wildfires, things.
Wildfires in the mountains.
In the mountains,
typically. So since we have a spectacular view from the airport, there, it's a great place for them to have their site, and they have them throughout the state of Colorado. CSU actually oversees that part of the forestry service there. So.
As we tape this today, which is. The latter part of July for showing in August. Yesterday, again, I'm making light of something, and I shouldn't, but perhaps that CSU tanker could have been used, because yesterday the Equine Center building burned down quite dramatically on the west portion of, it's not really their campus, well, I guess it is, on the west area of town in Fort Collins.
Well, yeah, they are pretty limited, though. They can't go into heavily populated areas.
I know. But it's just coincidence that you're talking about that after a major CSU fire yesterday. What a shame.
It is.
Okay. Just below the purple circle is probably the most important circle on the map there because that's where your office is.
That's right. That is very important. It's actually Loveland Fire Station number 4. Mm-hmm. It was a fire station built in the mid-'90s, and for a commercial service airport, we're required to have a firefighter standing by when we have the commercial flights. So that's why my office is in a fire station of all places. So we do have firefighting equipment that are stationed there. We have firefighters that come out and rotate through whenever we have the commercial flights. And right now we actually have Thompson Valley EMS Service using the facility as well. So it's a jointly used facility, and it's not quite as close to the ramp and the runway as I'd like to be, but I have a great view.
Okay. And you have not just normal, well, maybe you do have just normal fire equipment or fire trucks in there, but you have some specialized equipment to deal with possibly aircraft emergencies.
Correct. Yeah, we have aviation firefighting and rescue equipment, or ARF. We love acronyms. Mm-hmm. The FAA loves them even more. So everything that we have or do is it has an acronym, I'm sure. But this equipment that we have, they're specialized vehicles that are designed to mobilize and get to any type of emergency that we may have either on or off pavement. So they have to be very versatile. They carry 1,500 gallons of water and foam solution just in case there is a fire emergency. And they're designed as just basically the front line to help rescue people in need if there ever becomes that. We hope to never use those.
Sure. Well, I've seen them out there for drills and practice, and they are unusual looking.
They are.
And boy, when they hit the start button, that foam and everything comes out.
It does
very, very quickly.
Yeah, you can empty that truck in about 3 minutes.
Wow.
So it's got a very powerful pump, and it's designed to allow people to egress an aircraft in case of emergency. They use that that foam and that just to keep the flames down, just in case there is an emergency of that magnitude that they necessitate the use of that. Basically, the location of that building is central to the airport for a reason too, and that's because we have to respond to any emergency on that airfield within 3 minutes. That's our minimum criteria as set by the FAA. So that's another reason that the fire station is located where it is.
Okay, so you could have a fire or an emergency that wasn't on the runway. It could be in one of those other circled areas, another plane in a hangar, or one being repaired somewhere, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Okay, and I know you have some special snowplow equipment. Is that housed in that building also or elsewhere?
We actually keep a lot of our equipment scattered around. We keep them in some of the storage units that are next to a lot of the hangar buildings in the purple circled area, and we also keep some of our equipment outside, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're trying to develop, gain some resources to put an actual addition to that building to be able to house a lot of our newer equipment inside.
Gotcha.
Which would be great.
Okay. The yellow area, what do we have there?
We call that it's considered a business park, and back in the 1980s, a land developer came and wanted to develop a business park that had the ability to access the airport, and that it does. It actually has taxiways built into it, and they have access, if you look at the map there, right through our property line and onto the airport. So there's a number of businesses that are located in that area that have aircraft, corporate aircraft, for business use, and they're able to, not only conduct their business, but utilize the airport if they need to with their corporate aircraft, getting right around and through. So it's very convenient for them, not having to split it apart. Have their business in their plane in a hangar somewhere else. They're able to combine them and go into that area. Now, not all of those buildings do have access. There's probably just over half of those facilities built there that have access.
Okay. Well, this next slide, I'm going to zoom out just a hair here. And what are we pointing to there with the green arrow?
Well, that's the ranch there. They're very close to us, and with all of the events that they have. They actually utilize the airport quite a lot.
I bet.
Yep. They have, whenever there's a performer flying in, you would think that they'd use our airport rather than Denver.
Sure.
Just
yeah.
because of the proximity.
Absolutely.
So, we do support them, and they do the same for us. So we work well together.
And I know there are corporate gatherings and meetings at some of the hotels adjacent to the ranch, and I'm guessing some people probably attend those by air rather than flying into Denver.
Quite a bit of people come in, and they'll go to the various shows and activities that the ranch has, and even the hotel there. I'm not sure if you know this, Andy, but last month we had a airport operators conference where every airport within the state of Colorado came to Loveland for a 3-day event that we hosted the first part of June. So
I see.
We do things hand in hand there with everybody.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, do the hotels and everything offer any kind of courtesy shuttle service?
Do.
Between the airport and
Embassy
and their
Suites.
lobby?
I see their van go by at least once a day.
Okay.
So they do come out to the airport and pick up people that are staying with them.
Yeah.
And people that are coming in on the Allegiant flights too, because we're seeing some reciprocity from that. It's not just going out; some people are coming back.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we've been talking about planes a little earlier, and I've joked with you, and I know it kind of, the reality is some people do feel this way, that the airport services a lot of well-to-do people who have little airplanes instead of Corvettes, or maybe in addition to Corvettes, but this slide kind of shows that and these were all planes and photos taken here at the Fort Collins Loveland Airport, FNL. There's a variety here.
There is quite a variety. We're one of the airports that has everything from ultralight aircraft all the way up to airliners, and we're quite unique in that respect. A lot of specialization happens. DIA obviously specializes in the commercial, and then you go to a grass field, and they're specializing in ultralight or light sport or tail dragger type aircraft, where we have just an incredible mix of everything. There's the old connotation that lawyers and doctors use airports, and that's all that can afford it. No, there's a lot of people that love aviation, that get involved in it, and not only a hobby, but they can make it a career as well. If you look at our picture here, we've got a number of airliners, but if you notice, we have a helicopter there. We have a helicopter training school at the airport. People actually come out and get their license to fly helicopters.
I see.
Very successful business, front range helicopters. We have a couple of flight schools based on the field, teaching people how to fly the fixed wing type of aircraft. There's just such a wide variety, and there's no doubt about it. Aviation is expensive, but what people don't understand is how important it is to have the airport in their backyard, because it draws in so much. If you look at the top right-hand corner, there's a Falcon business jet, and I'm sure there's a CEO or some chief executive flying around looking for places to put their business.
There you go.
And there's so much that our airport has to offer, and it's a relatively low cost as compared to interchanges on I-25 or other transportation issues. We have 8,500 feet of runway. That's all we have to maintain.
Yeah,
it's the smallest amount of asphalt that has the potential to bring it
no traffic
biggest
lights.
benefit. Right, exactly.
There you go.
A lot of runway lights, though.
Okay, so that corporate jet that you just pointed out, that possibly could be one that services one of these businesses.
You bet. We have a number of businesses, not only based at our field, but use the airport on a daily basis. A lot of companies, and this is just a small fraction of what comes in. These are some of the names that I thought people could relate to quickly, and there's just so much more. There's a lot of retail that's in the area that rely on the airport for access. Target Corporation comes in quite a bit. Last week we had Walmart in coming, and I don't know what they're doing. Hopefully not downsizing. But
okay.
They come in and see the status of their various locations.
I see.
And a lot of the nationwide businesses do that. They'll actually come in and they'll send out a team from their corporate headquarters to come and assess certain situations that may need help or get updates, so on and so forth. And they come in and out. So, we have quite a bit of companies that do that. Not only that, but we have companies based in the field. Otterbox, they're big Fort Collins right now.
Yeah.
And they're recently going through, I think, a pretty big expansion. So much so that they're actually going to add another jet to their fleet. So they're a big employer for the area. Not only that, but there's so many more. Budweiser, Bohemian Foundation. The list can go on and on.
Yeah.
One more thing that I want to add, Andy, is a lot of people don't understand is that we have a lot of people utilizing the airport for medical emergencies. A lot of helicopters will come in and out directly to the hospitals, but because their range is so limited, jets will actually fly them in from western Nebraska, Kansas, areas that don't have the medical resources available that we do, and we do just right down the street from the airport.
Yeah.
So I'd say since I've been there, about once every day we get a transfer.
Really?
Thompson Valley EMS or Poudre Valley, they'd come in and either pick up or drop off a patient that's in need of urgent care.
I see.
Or specialized care that our local hospital systems can provide for them.
That is very important. It's good to know. Thanks. Well, in the previous photo with all the different planes, the big one in the middle was the airliner that currently services Loveland. Why don't you tell us a bit more about who they are and what they offer? And
Well, Allegiant Airlines, they're a travel company. They're not necessarily an airline. They don't like to say that just because they don't provide transportation to and from different areas. It's basically a vacation destination airline. They get together with a lot of the destination facilities and hotels and shows, and they'll package deal a travel vacation for people. So you can't just jump on the airline and go from here to Chicago. You could, but then you'd have to buy another ticket in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So
they've expanded their offerings. Yeah,
they have expanded. Right now, we have 4 flights a week going to Las Vegas, and that's their headquarters. That's where they got started. And since then, they've expanded to a lot of other markets, bringing in more vacation destinations to their network. We last October started flying. They started flying to Mesa, the Phoenix area, and right now we're up to 6 flights a week. So
I see.
We have 2 flights on Mondays and Fridays. We have Mondays and Fridays the Vegas and Mesa flights, and then on Thursday and Sunday we also have an additional Vegas flight. So.
Okay, and I will mention this because I know it's on your telephone answering menu, etc. If people have questions about the airlines, they need to call Allegiant directly.
Correct.
Your office is the administrative airport for the facility. You're not in the
Thanks, Andy.
in the airline business.
We do get a lot of questions relative to the airline, and I stress to people that we'll try to help you out the best we can, but all we can really do is give them the phone number for the airline because they're the ones that are ultimately providing the service.
Yep.
We just give them the ability to use our airport.
Okay, and it occurred to me as I was putting this together that if you fly to Vegas and or Phoenix, Mesa, that you can work on your suntan using this airline and perhaps hit a jackpot or not.
Right. They have to keep the lights on somehow there. And there's a lot of lights to keep on, last time I checked.
Yeah, well, the other side of that jackpot thing is that to some degree, kind of stretching the term, the FNL and the community of Loveland and the region has kind of hit the jackpot a bit thanks to the commercial airline service from Allegiant.
Right. It is pretty important that we do have the service just because of the financial implication that we get from having that service. The airport gets reclassified from just a standard commercial airport to a primary commercial airport. And what that does is allow us the ability to get a lot more grant money from the FAA and also from the airport users. Being that we get close to over $1.2 million and direct benefit by having the air carrier there. And it's very important that we do, because we're able to provide a better service not only for the air carrier, but also for the people that utilize the airport, and offset some of the costs that are incurred. If we didn't have that service, obviously the two cities would have to kick in a little bit more to help maintain the airport as it is.
Okay, good.
So, and it also brings in a lot of jobs. Having that service there brings in quite a bit. We've got employees from Allegiant. TSA has people that come up here from Denver 4 days a week to do the screening process. So
now, do they actually commute just to do that?
Some people actually live here and they commute to Denver.
That would make
okay. But they do get bounced around, because
right.
they are Denver based. But they come here. They also, the Denver-based TSA agents go to Colorado Springs and the other airports within the state that have commercial service.
I'm just wondering if there are, half a dozen people who live in the area who have a part-time TSA job, and they come and service the FNL situation, and then
generally they don't have part-time. It's all full-time for the TSA, but when they're only here 4 days a week, they often just work an extra day at DIA.
I got you.
So they'll offset and they'll work their schedules around, and there'll be some shifted in and out, but for the most part, we have a set crew that comes out and does the screening. So we also have concessions in the airport, additional personnel for airport staff to support that. There's a whole list of regulations that we have to follow for upkeep and maintenance of the airport, so it's important that we have the amount of staff that can provide that to the airport in order to meet those regulations and qualifications that we have to adhere to have that commercial service. So a lot of people think that it's a smaller airport, we don't have to abide by the same rules. Well, it's not true. We have to abide the same rule book that DIA has.
Really?
We do.
Wow.
So we're held to that standard.
I see.
And we do that with a staff of 5.
I see. Wow. Okay. Okay. Wow.
But not to mention what the support the city of Loveland gives us.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
We would obviously have to double that if we had to do all of the things ourselves.
Okay. This slide we talked a bit about businesses at the airport. This kind of is a quick grocery list of some of them.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we do have, like I mentioned before, our FBO Jet Center. There's the picture right there in the bottom. That's our front line that handles all of our transient aircraft and aircraft fueling for anybody that's based on the field as well, and any companies that are based on the field. We have a number of flight schools, as I'd mentioned before, Colorado Contrails, leading edge flight training. Those are both fixed wing, where you can come and get your private pilot's license all the way up to your commercial license and further on. And front range helicopters. They're pictured there at the top with one of their helicopter units, and they, I believe, are up to 4 now. They have 4 helicopters,
really?
And if anybody's been out to the airport, you'll see them buzzing around and doing their training. And they're pretty busy because it's kind of a specialized field. Not a lot of airports have that, so
I see.
We're fortunate to have them there. Not only that, but we also have aircraft maintenance, repair, firewall forward. Gates Aviation, Professional Aircraft Service, they all provide maintenance to different types of aircraft, licensed mechanics that are on staff to rebuild engines,
sure,
keep them flying. A lot of these aircraft are getting up there in age. However, the safety is maintained by having a very strict maintenance record on these types of aircraft. Every year they have to be looked at, gone through from top to bottom, every nut and bolt check to make sure that it's within tolerance, and whatever's not gets pitched, and whatever gets replaced. So even though these planes may be 1975, they're pretty new because of all the parts that get switched.
Sure, sure, yeah.
So we do have an avionics shop on the field that put in a lot of these new gadgets and gizmos for pilots into their aircraft. And as I mentioned before, we do have a cafe in our terminal building that provides service for our traveling public.
Good. Okay. So we looked at those are the facilities that are on the airport property, and you mentioned this. This is the airport or business park adjacent to it.
Yep, Centerpoint Business Park. There's a number of businesses located in there. A lot of them that I've mentioned before. Otterbox has their corporate aircraft there. Bohemian, they have actually a couple buildings. We just have a wide variety of users, Glastron boats, the Hawk Company, if I'm pronouncing that correctly,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
is the biggest, and that's right there on the top part of that. If you can see that white building and the parking lots associated with that, they're one of the bigger contributors in that area, but they don't have airport access.
Okay. One of if folks who are watching this also read the City Update newsletter that comes in their utility bill, which coincidentally also features the airport, that the printing company that prints that is located in that area.
Yes, there's a wide mix. There's a lot of things going on there.
And when I drive in occasionally, there's even a hot rod shop with some cool cars parked out front.
There is a hot rod shop. There's a hot rod shop, and I think there's a motorcycle shop.
Yeah.
Kawasaki dealer, windows. There's all kinds of things happening in there, and it's just a great little. I shouldn't say little. It's a great industrial / commercial business park.
So that all brings us to this slide, which is kind of the probably maybe the most important slide that we have seen today regarding the airport.
I think it's important because not a lot of people understand how important the airport is. And the state of Colorado back in 2008 conducted a study. They generated a lot of data to come up with these numbers, basically. And what these numbers are is what type of impact our airport has within the city of Loveland and the city of Fort Collins. And basically it's written down plain as day right there in blue that because the airport's here, we have approximately 750 jobs created as a result of that. Obviously, that's both direct and indirect. Because the airport's here is going to maybe weigh in importance on whether or not a business comes to the area. I know that with the ACE program, with the Agilent site, the airport was part of the list that we put together to try and lure that.
One of the selling points.
One of the selling points for the city. And, I've read a lot of news coming from some of the competitors, and they blame that the airport wasn't big enough to support, the possibility of them getting that.
I see.
So I don't know exactly what the impact will be yet. Obviously, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered on that. But, this is just part of that big picture.
So, bottom line, the airport, these are annual numbers, I'm sure.
They are annual.
Is worth in excess of $50 million to the area.
To the economy in the area, yes. There's quite a bit of impact, and these numbers are generated, with the different statistical models that they use, and is it accurate? Maybe not 100%, but it's close.
Yeah, and it could be close either side.
Exactly.
Okay, changing the subject a little bit, we've been talking about the airport as it is and a little history prior to that. Let's look ahead. One of the things that, and I know there's an airport master plan, this is just put up there to kind of give people an idea of that the plan exists. One of the things
before you scare anybody, Andy, I just want to point out that this is a plan. This isn't going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand that this is just a Christmas list, so to speak.
Okay.
That we have done about every 15 years that guides us in the development of the airport. It doesn't mean we're going to do it. It just means that if we have the need to do something, the plan's already in place.
Okay.
So I just wanted to clarify that before we went any further, because I do get quite a bit of phone calls from individuals wondering, when we're going to make that certain thing that's depicted on this happen. Just because this is only a guideline, and it's really up to the private companies that want to come in and build, increase the amount of activity that we have that would necessitate the addition of anything.
Okay, so this could happen if there's a demand for it, if everything else falls in place. So if somebody knocks on the door, you're ahead of them and say, here's what's possible.
We're ready for it, and we have a good idea of what we'd like to do, and we can conform our plans to try to fit that into that.
Okay. Okay. And one of the things on there, and it has been discussed, and it's probably gotten the most attention, is the possibility of extending the runway. Right.
Yes, there is in our master plan a a section for a 1,000-foot runway extension. And what that would do basically would benefit the airport to be able to handle what's existing currently. Like I mentioned to you before, our main limitation on the size of aircraft that we can bring in is weight. Right now we're maxed out. By putting an addition to the runway, we're not going to be able to bring in any larger aircraft. However, what people don't understand is during the summer months, because of our altitude, a lot of our commercial carrier, Allegiant and some of the charter companies aren't able to fill the seats in their aircraft because of the weight limitation on the amount of length that they have to use. Because our air density level, they can only put in 130 passengers on a 150-seat aircraft because we don't have the length to be able to allow them to fill their aircraft up.
So basically during the summer, plus the fact we're at more or less 5,000 feet, when it's hot, the air is thinner, and it takes longer for the planes to roll and get up to the speed they need to.
They have to move faster to get into the air, and that length is critical. One issue that we have is noise to the north and to the south as well. And what I want to stress is this wouldn't increase that whatsoever. It wouldn't do anything to bring in any larger aircraft. It would just be more or less a safety margin, so to speak, and also allow our carriers that are utilizing the airport currently with the aircraft that they're going to bring in anyway, the ability to put more passengers on board.
Okay. Speaking about airline service, are we going someplace new in the near future?
Boy, I'd love to say yes.
Crystal ball, huh?
I know that the airline Allegiant has expressed that there are some possible plans in the future for expanding service out of our airport, and just judging by the success that they've had, I would foresee that possibly in the near future we may have another destination. I've been to numerous conferences, and obviously because of the importance of the airline, I'm in contact with them quite regularly. And every time I talk to them, they always say how outstanding they're doing at the Fort Collins Loveland Airport. So, with the community's support of that service, it'll continue to grow as long as obviously the demand is there.
Yeah.
The two cities have taken the standpoint that they're not going to subsidize any services, which is I think a good thing, just because. We don't want to prematurely try to make something work that's not going to be able to do it on its own. So they're slowly growing, and they're going in a great direction here.
Well, not to make a pitch particularly for this airline, but it happened to be the one that I was on to go to Vegas some time back. And I couldn't help because of my job here. Timed it from my front door to when I walked into the front door of the terminal, rolling my carry-on bag at 11 minutes. And that beats the heck out of going to DIA. Plus, you save some money on parking and gas and time and everything else.
Time's a big issue. We have so many people just surprised at how quickly they're able to get checked in, bags checked and through security, and waiting for their plane. And generally, you go down to Denver and you have to have an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours if you're parking in economy, to get on the bus, to get to the terminal, to get your ticket, to get on through security, to get on the train, to get to your other terminal, to walk all the way to the end to get on your plane.
Okay.
So we're a lot simpler. You park, and in about 20 steps you're already through security and into the gate waiting areas.
One thing, we are taping this the last week of July. The newsletter went to press a couple of days prior to that. You have a major project that you'll tell us about here in a minute, but you kind of, through no fault of your own, had the rug pulled out from under you in the last week or so. Explain what I'm talking about.
Well, Andy, it has been a rough week for me. Right now, we were hoping that we'd have a project getting started at the airport. Our main runway has been scheduled for rehabilitation, and we were in the process of obtaining a $7 million grant from the federal government in order to basically repair the runway as it sits currently and rebuild it to bring it up to new condition.
When was the last time this was done?
Last time, according to my records, is about 1989 when it was a
more
full
than 20 years.
when it was a full reconstruction. So asphalt has, and we have an asphalt runway, by the way. A lot of people don't realize that either. A lot of people think, oh, concrete's stronger. Well, it all depends on the depth. But anyway.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, we're in that process of getting that grant, and unfortunately, through what's happening right now in Washington, D.C., the FAA is shut down. A lot of the non-essential services currently are not operating. I can't call the airport district office right now and get an answer on what's happening because our grant's kind of tied up. And our airport has a very unique situation, and that is we have one runway and we have commercial service. A lot of airports that have commercial service have more than one runway. So, saying that, we have to plan very far in advance to get an airport closure, to shut down that one runway. We have to meet with all of our stakeholders, all of our businesses there, and figure out when the best time would be that would minimize the impact. Not only that, but airlines sell tickets in advance, so they have to plan ahead for that so that they don't sell the tickets and have to go through I'm sure a huge fiasco trying to refund and upsetting customers and everything else. So we worked a year in advance to get this window of opportunity, and we were planning on the end of next month for that to occur.
The end,
because
we're set the end of August.
Of August, I'm sorry, which would be, I guess, this month.
Right.
We're talking about this month now. So August 15th through September 1 was our window to accomplish this. And because our grant is no longer going through the process because the FAA is basically shut down except for all essential services are not. Air traffic control is still working. Some of the other primary functions of the FAA still works, but the non-essential people that handle grants, airport funding, construction projects are not at their office this week. And it's really unfortunate because last year it happened to us too.
Did you have agreements and contracts signed with paving companies and that sort of thing?
We had gone out for bid, and we had some great dollar amounts for our project. It was actually almost 15 to 20% less than what it was the year before.
Sure.
And it's just a shame. It really is, because we had a very competitive bid. We'd be able to actually, in essence, save money to the FAA, and even with our increased priority level by not getting it last year, we still weren't able to get it just because it has a lot to do with how the FAA is being funded right now. A lot of people aren't aware, just because it's not in the news, that the FAA has been operating for the last 4 years on just extensions of their budget from 2007. The last extension was 3 weeks long.
Wow, three whole weeks.
3 weeks. They were able to appropriate money for projects such as ours. And prior to that, it had been on a monthly basis.
Wow.
So it's very difficult, and I understand for an agency that is used to operating on a 3-year program, that they're cut down to month,
wow.
and now week to week. And unfortunately, that last extension expired last Friday. And we were hoping to get that grant last week. So the timing couldn't have been worse.
So even if they reopen the office tomorrow, it's pretty much history.
Well, I'm trying to be optimistic here.
Okay, but, it's unlikely.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Okay. All right. Well, with that good news, let me ask this: is the airport going to then just stay open those 2 weeks?
We plan on, if we don't get the project, we plan on staying open. The impact will still be there for the airlines since they weren't able to sell tickets.
Yeah.
So, it's unfortunate that we're going to miss out on the ability to provide that service to the public and anybody else that uses the airline. But we are planning on doing some emergency repairs. The runway's condition is deteriorating, and it's deteriorating quickly. Just because, obviously, as you go along in time, pavement tends to fall apart and go away. So we have some areas that we're going to need to focus on, and we hope to do it during that time.
I see.
Just to be just ahead of the curve there, in case this fall and winter we get some issues with the pavement coming apart on us, which we don't want. It's a big safety issue, and we want to make sure that we provide the best and most safe conditions for our airport operators.
I guess with the announcement that it was going to be closed, that it'll kind of be a slower traffic couple of weeks, so make it easier for you to get some of those emergency repairs done.
Yes, we're planning on doing that, and that's our contingency plan now. So we're hoping that it doesn't come to that. We're hoping that we do get a runway, and we hope that we don't have to waste dollars on patches that are just going to be torn up in the future.
That makes sense, yeah. Okay. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here. Anything else that you want to discuss?
Well, here we are at almost 6 months into the job for me, and I just wanted to say, what a great support network I have here with the City of Loveland, and what a beautiful area. I every day go into my office and just can't imagine the view out of my office window of the Longs Peak and all the Rocky Mountain National Park just right over the foothills there. And coming from where I came from, where all I saw was corn tassels, it's a very welcome sight every day. So,
well, good.
I'm really enjoying myself here, and I want to thank everybody within the city and the staff for helping me get acquainted, and thank you, Andy, for inviting me to be your guest.
Sure. Well, that's great. And I tell you, during the conversation here, you're a good study, because to have learned all the history and details and numbers and acronyms and everything that you've learned in just these last few months is pretty. Plus, you seem to be a pretty nice guy.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know about that, but hey, I am a pilot myself, so that helps understanding acronyms because that's all we do is pilot talk.
Do you get up in the air on occasion?
I have been, yes, and I'm working on actually getting checked out here in an aircraft so that I can go up whenever I want to.
I see.
I don't own one,
but
that's one of my goals, one of my long-term goals. So we're working on that. You just got to talk my wife into it.
Oh, okay. Nothing to it. Piece of cake. All right.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Well, Jason, thank you very much for your time and energy and participation in this. And as always, folks, thank you at home for your time and interest in Loveland's Talking. And we will see you again here next month. So long.